Okay, let's take a look at the room we're going to be completely redoing today. This is my spare bedroom currently, and as you can see, it's looking pretty sad. Basically, we moved in, we put in our extra furniture that we had, and left it and didn't do much else, and that's exactly what it looks like. It's not warm, it's not cozy, it's not welcoming, nothing looks intentional, and we're going to change all of that today. We're going to be doing tons of DIYs, wallpapering, sanding, staining, hanging things, all kinds of stuff, adding all kinds of whimsy and warmth and coziness, and I cannot wait for you guys to see my vision for this space. So let's start off with what inspired this whole room, and it is this peel and stick wallpaper. I am in a rental home, so everything we're doing today is pretty rental friendly. And yeah, I found this wallpaper and just fell completely in love with the tapestry, the dreamy forest look. I already had that like warm tone maroon bedding, and I thought that it would be just a really nice combo. And here is the mood board in general. I want there to be lots of warm, cozy, and whimsical accents. I want to do the maroon, green, and then some like lighter, off-white touches as well. I want there to be lots of layering. Okay, so now that we're all on the same page, let's get into transforming this space from cold and boring into warm and cozy and magical. Okay, I just got a very exciting package from Wallblush Wallpaper. This is a peel and stick wallpaper. I believe they sell regular and peel and stick. I went with peel and stick because this is a rental home. And yeah, how gorgeous is this packaging? It's like the prettiest box. But I'm super excited to open it. Thank you so much, Wallblush, for gifting me this. And if you guys like it as well, I'll put the link and everything in the description. Now let's see what it looks like. Comes with a squeegee, fabulous. So we have our instructions on the outside, first thing you see. Oh, it's so beautiful. Oh my gosh. I love these green tones in here. All right, today is Sunday, so I have the whole day to work on this room. It's nice and early, and I'm hoping to get this wallpaper done as quickly as possible. But first, I need to kind of destroy this room. It's time to put up our Wallblush Peel and Stick Luxe wallpaper. I just read over the directions and it looks super simple. I'm very curious about this because everywhere I've moved I always paint a wall and I've been very scared to wallpaper. And I'm finally getting over that fear and I think that it's really going to be easier than I think. But the first step here is just to wipe down the wall with water. Next step is to cut all of these panels. They have little demarcation lines of where you cut them, and it all comes in one big roll. If you're doing a bigger space than I am, you might get multiple rolls. Basically, the directions just say to go ahead and lay them all out. Make sure that it's for sure going to cover the right amount of space. You don't want to start doing this process and then realize that there was something wrong with one of the panels or that you didn't order enough. Okay, so I've checked all my panels. They all look gorgeous. The next step is to make a plumb line, which is going to be how we make sure that we're hanging everything up straight, because walls and floors are often not level. And so in order to keep your wallpaper from slowly turning out crooked, you want to make sure to do a nice plumb line, and I'll show you how to do that. So I'm going to measure 18.5 inches away from the wall, and you could either use a handheld level and kind of trace all the way up and down for you to use, or you can do what I'm going to use, which is use a laser level. I got this one off of Amazon. I'll link it down below. Very easy to use. You just push on and it has a self-leveling system. So I'm just going to line it up with my mark here and make sure that the vertical line is in line with the mark I just made. That is awesome. That was worth every penny. So that is how you create a plumb line. Super simple process. 18.5 inches away from the wall and then drawing a vertical level line, either using a handheld level or a laser level like I did. And And yeah, now we just have to bravely begin. Okay, so my first two panels are up and it's looking great so far. Now is the point where I need to start cutting off the bottom parts of the wallpaper. I could go ahead and wallpaper top to bottom, but as you saw before, my bed frame covers up a huge portion of this wall. And so I think rather than let the wallpaper basically go to waste behind the bed frame, I'm going to use what I cut off as artwork in the room. This definitely gets easier as you go, so if you do the first one and feel overwhelmed, just keep going. It really is something that like you get the feel of. By panel 5, I'm feeling very confident, so let it be known. Now I need to go grab my X-Acto knife. I'm going to give it one more squeegee, and then I'm going to trim off all of the excess. And then this wall will be completed, minus this large hole, obviously, but we're gonna put something in front of that very soon. Everything is done. This is completed and I absolutely love it. I hope this helped you if you just bought this product or if you were thinking about doing peel and stick wallpaper. And now let's get back to the rest of this room makeover. Next up, I have a plan for this not so attractive ceiling fan. Let's see if it will work. My entire plan rests on this working and on these being totally removable. So far, so good. They come off! Okay, that is so simple, and this is about to get way cuter. This room stays incredibly cool on its own, and we never use this fan, and I find it to be an eyesore, so let's do something about that. So my next plan of action is to try and use this lampshade as a cover for this and hopefully make it look cuter than it does right now. So I got this from Walmart for like $14. Really not a bad price for a lampshade. Lampshades are weirdly very expensive. It's just a really neutral color right now, which I do like. So yeah. Going to end up something like this, which will diffuse the light a lot better. So surprisingly, the metal piece isn't really in the way, so I think I could probably keep it. So my plan with this is to add like crisscross elastic. Okay, so we'll need a needle and thread for this and some elastic. So I'm going to use the metal brackets. Otherwise, I would just need to attach it to the side and sew through the lampshade and sew a straight line here to connect it. And there we go. That should be very stable. Trim off the edge. It is going to slide around unless I put something underneath it, but it's going to be hanging from this, so there's not going to be any chance of it slipping down because gravity will keep it in place. I'm just going to make sure that it reaches comfortably and that it still has plenty of give so that I can stretch over anything that I need it to. And now I'm just going to do that same thing a few more times. Oh my gosh, yay! It works! I personally prefer that to the fan, for sure. Yay! That totally works. Cool. Okay, now remember that wood bed frame that was in the beginning of this video? I'm taking that outside now and giving it a quick sand so that I can give this a makeover as well. I'm going to be staining it, and I'm going to be using a dark walnut varathane wood stain. I've used this quite a bit. It never fails. I always like the tone, and it's really easy to apply. I usually only have to do one coat because it's such a deep color initially. And yeah, now I'm just
sanding down all the different parts of this bed. Then I'll take it back upstairs and show you how to put this together.
All right, now it's time for this DIY headboard that includes some little nightstand shelves. This is something that I built in my last rental apartment. That spare bedroom was incredibly small, so I couldn't have nightstands, and I think that that's a pretty common problem. I just couldn't find anything that was small enough to fit on either side, and these shelves ended up working perfectly. Other good thing about this one is that it's really easy to take apart and just have in pieces and then reassemble when you get to your new apartment or new home or whatever. If you're looking for an inexpensive DIY space-saving solution to having a pretty quality headboard that also includes nightstands, this is for you. So first of all, here are all the measurements that you'll need. It's basically 8 different cuts of wood. You can go as high quality as you want. For these main headboard pieces, these are really kind of as cheap as you can get and still have them be like substantial and weighty. I wouldn't say that it can stand like freestanding. It needs to be pressed up against the wall, but the way that the top and bottom sit do give it some stability. Like it can kind of stand on its own for a moment, but it does need to be against a wall. Now, let me show you how to put this together. Okay, so I have my 2 boards laid out. You'll want to decide which one is your top piece and which one is your bottom piece. For your reference, the top piece for me is this one, and the bottom piece is the one that's further away towards the wall. These 2 pieces are 48 inches long by 2.5 inches wide, and they will act as our back braces. So you'll need 2 of these. Because I've already set this up, all of my holes will be pre-drilled, but just know when I put in a screw, you need to make sure to do a pilot hole first, always before putting a screw into wood so that it doesn't crack. You won't be seeing me do that here, but know that it needs to be done. For the back braces, I am using 16 1.5 inch wood screws. I'm going to place my boards evenly in the center, so the edge of this board is 26 inches away from the side. These are purely for stability and the only thing holding these 2 boards together, so you just want to space them evenly to make sure that everything is super secure. But I chose to do mine 26 inches away from the edge. If you're doing this for the first time, you want to lay this down, pre-drill your holes, then about 2 inches away from the edge of your first board, you want to do 2 screws, and then again, close to that weak point, do 2 more sets of screws, and then 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom. And I would just screw directly in there, but since I've already done this once, I want to make sure not to make any new holes, so I'm going to go ahead and just put these screws into my pre-drilled holes so that they stick out a little bit so that I can perfectly place them into the holes that I used before. Now, I'll be able to feel if these are perfectly in their holes or not. Very important step here is to make sure that your 2 boards are pressed together as tightly as possible. You want this to be as seamless as you can make it, because there is going to be a slight seam visible unless you decide to put like trim over it or something, which is something I might do once I'm done moving around all the time. But yeah, just make sure they're pressed really firmly together so that there is no gap here. And then start with these center screws to make sure that that stays the case. And now the same thing for this side. Alright, now it's time for our top and bottom pieces. These are going to be 8 feet long by 2.5 inches wide. And these are a little bit tricky to put on. It is easier if you have 2 people, to be honest with you. But if you're by yourself, like I am today, you're going to want to find something to prop this up with. Something a little taller than this would be great, but I think that this will do the job. It's really only dicey for the bottom piece that you put on, and then we can tip it all up and put the top piece on once it's standing. This part is a little difficult, and it has to be either kind of held up by somebody or propped up. So this is going to sit directly on the bottom of your big 8-foot board. There's a little bit of overhang with these back braces that are meant to help stabilize this piece as well. But basically just line this up perfectly, and then we are going to screw through the bottom And the overhang, the lip, is going to go towards the good side of the wood, the good side of this project. And I'll show you better on the top piece because it'll be easier for me to film. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now we have our top piece, and I did countersink holes here so that you don't see the screws sticking up, so I definitely recommend that for this top piece. You can do it on the bottom as well, but obviously the bottom is hidden, so not quite as important. And I have 5 screws for this one. Okay, so up next we have our little nightstands, our 2 shelves. For these, I'm going to be screwing through the back, and I put 4 screws in there. I am using 2-inch wood screws for this and screwing through the back and into the shelves. And there we have it. That's what it looks like from the front. Very sturdy. I've had lamps and like candles and things sitting on them for years, and they're still in perfect shape. And there you have it, a DIY headboard, including nightstands. That's a great space saver, easy to move with, and I think looks great. Let me know down in the comments if you like this, if you want to give it a try, or if you have any questions about how to make it. I'm happy to help you. And yeah, I hope that you found this little tutorial useful. Headboards can be ridiculously expensive, and so can nightstands, and I think this is a pretty good DIY to save some money and some space. So hope you enjoyed it. Now let's continue with this makeover. Okay, so now that I've given my DIY headboard a makeover, it's time to upgrade my bed frame. I've partnered with FlexiSpot for today's video as I'm going to be replacing my old sad bed frame with their far superior Japanese joinery bed frame. This was something we purchased just to get us by, and I'm so excited to finally be able to upgrade it to something truly high quality and also beautiful. I ordered mine in a queen size in the walnut color, and I ordered mine without a headboard because I already have a DIY headboard, but they do make headboards and stuff to go with the bed frame as well, if that's what you're looking for. Okay, I've got everything laid out here, and the quality is crazy. My husband and I move a lot, so I wanted to find something that was simple and solid with a minimal design that could fit in any room. And the main thing that drew me to this particular bed frame was the Japanese joinery, which means it won't have any screws or additional hardware, just the solid wood pieces that all fit together perfectly. So it's less to move, less pieces to possibly lose or assemble, and something that I know was made with intention and care that will last for many years to come. I'm so happy. This is already so much better than the old one. It's so stable and quiet. It has this very intense Velcro that keeps the slats in place and keeps them from wiggling around or making any noise, which I love. My husband and I stopped buying IKEA furniture or anything made not of real solid wood in our mid-20s, and honestly, it's been one of the smartest choices we've ever made. We've thrifted some pieces, and other pieces we've invested in. This is one of those where it's made of real solid wood, and it's something that will last forever. You pay for something like this once, not every few years. This one is made of solid rubber wood, which is a sturdy hardwood and is finished with a moisture-resistant and scratch-resistant coating, protecting it from mold and scratches. This bed frame is now available starting at $349.99, and you can get an extra $20 off by using my code. I will have everything linked down in the description of this video and have my code there, so make sure to use it if you would like to get a super nice bed frame for yourself as well. I'm really impressed with the quality. All right, we are on day 2 of this makeover, and today I am tackling the smaller DIYs for this, which is going to be finding a way to use the extra wallpaper from this to put it in a pretty gold vintage frame, and also giving the mirror that was in this room an upgrade, a new look, and trying to make it feel very princessy, which I'm very excited about. And then I want to give an old footstool a makeover. I'm going to be reupholstering it in some gold velvet fabric, And yeah, then it'll just be hanging up a few things, final touches, and then this room is complete. So let's get into the smaller DIYs of this project. Next up, I have this very lovely vintage frame that I thrifted a long time ago. I think that the leftover wallpaper is going to look amazing in this frame. So my plan with this, because it doesn't have, you know, anything in the back, is I got this poster board and I'm just going to cut it so that it fits in this little gap. And then I'll just tape the back, probably with painter's tape so that it doesn't damage anything, but that it stays securely. And then I'm going to have to move the hanging hardware so that it can hang the right way. And then I'm going to put the wallpaper onto this sheet. And I think it should work perfectly. I'm gonna go ahead and get this cut down first. Luckily this has, I don't know if you can see it, but it has a little bit of a grid pattern on here, so it's going to be very simple. And also, while I cut it, you can watch Chloe being the cutest snuggly pup in the world. Double check it. Fits perfectly. Okay, that should be perfect. Yes! Okay, awesome. That fits so well. Okay, I spent far too long deciding which section to use because every section is so beautiful, but I'm going with this one with hopes of using the leftover bits in future frames because, yeah, all of it is honestly a beautiful piece of art. I'm going with this corner. I like the moodiness of it and like the bits of gold that kind of pop out next to the frame. And mainly in the room you see the sky portion of this mural, so I really wanted to focus on the ground aspect because it's nice that it doesn't look exactly the same as the wallpaper, you know, it could be just a separate piece of art. Next up, I want to give this old footstool an upgrade. This was my husband's and he'd been using it as a footstool, but it's a bit too high for that. I think it's really more for sitting and for storage. He was going to give it away and I thought this would be the perfect thing to go in this very cute, dreamy princess room that I'm creating here. Right now I have the gold frame and the gold lampshades, and I think a perfect third gold touch would be to make this stool gold. It should be fairly simple since this comes apart. So I'm going to make two different pieces, one for the top and then for the bottom. I want the fabric to be ruffled, so I'm going to do an elastic that will just slide over and sit on top of this wood piece. And then I'm going to try and really replicate what they did for the top here with the gold fabric. All right, let's give this stool a makeover. This little circle, I'm just going to do a gathering stitch on my sewing machine and gather it a little bit so that it will automatically fold under, and then I'll just be able to glue it on top of all the stuff that I stapled to make it look nice and clean on the inside.
up, we have this mirror that used to be sitting on the floor and is still that light wood color. I would like it to blend into this thrifted nightstand that I have it sitting on, so I'm going to give it a quick sand, and then I'm going to stain it using the same stain that I used for the headboard, just to make it all blend together and match. So I brought it upstairs, and it definitely looks better than the light wood, but it's still not quite perfect. So I have some thrifted curtains that I think are really beautiful, and I have an idea for draping it over this mirror that's going to hopefully make it look really pretty and Victorian. I'm just going to kind of mess around with it until I get a pretty shape that I like. I think that this was a curtain valiance. It basically is just a really long strip of fabric that I found at a thrift store along with some curtains, and I'm just kind of pinning it in place until I get a shape that I like. And now I'm going to hang up another great thrift find. This is a little like curio wooden shelf I found for about $7, and I just want to put a few different things on here to make it really feel kind of eclectic and give that little bit of academia vibe.